If you were to define success, the word success, okay, what does it mean to you? Like, what does success mean to you? That word, success. The word success should be defined as the gap, all right? The gap, not the clothing store, the gap, all right? The gap is where I'm at currently to my potential, all right? Reaching my potential, my full potential, right? We call it the gap, getting closer and narrowing that gap, okay? Does that make sense? All right? When I first came down to Florida, I came down here in 1999. I was an MMA fighter. I did mixed martial arts, UFC, Octagon, all that stuff, XFC, PW. I worked for other circuits. And back in those days, they didn't have the paychecks that they have today, all right? Back in 1999, there was no Dana White saying, hey, McGregor, let me give you millions. There was none of that. And so basically, you wouldn't make $50,000 a night. You make $50,000 the whole year, right? So, and most of that goes for medical bills, believe me. And so the first time I ever stepped in the octagon, man, I broke my ribs. But honestly, guys, I've been an entrepreneur my whole life. I started at age 9 years old, man. I was knocking on doors, going up in apartment complexes in my neighborhood. Hey, picture this, I'm 9 years old. Dave Conigliaro, 9 years old, knocking on doors. Hey, I take people's trash out in the neighborhood. Do you have any that requires disposal? I'm 9 years old, right? I charge 25 cents a bag, ma'am, mister, sir, whoever. They're like, people, even if they just took out their trash, oh, you're so cute, let me find you some trash, And it's people were, they'll find you some trash, man. So I've been an entrepreneur my whole life, man. From 9 years old, I took out people's trash all summer, all summer long, just knocking on doors from like sun up to sundown, man. I was gone. My parents were like, where were you? I was like, I'm working. I own a business, Mom. Shoot, right? So I go back to school, going into 4th grade. I go back to school and, the teacher, 4th grade, the teacher says, okay, boys and girls, stand up and tell us what you did on your summer vacation. Each kid would stand up. He said, well, I stayed up late. I watched TV forever. I did this, I did that. Okay, hey, David, what did you do? What did you do? Well, I started a company. I pulled out a wad of cash and I threw it on the desk. And I'm like, and I'm hiring. There's a lot of trash in this city that needs to be cleaned up, right? 10 years old, right? But I've been an entrepreneur my whole life. I own 4 companies now. I really started my first business in 1999. And it was hard, man, getting it off the ground because I didn't have enough knowledge. I didn't have enough information to really get this thing off the ground. So the first 10 years, I struggled. I was making 30 grand a year for 10 years. And I was pissed because it wasn't my potential. Remember? Success. Where I'm at currently, where I want to be. How many of you want to be in the lower class? How about the middle class? Dude, it's the same damn thing. Okay? It's the same thing. You want to get to that top 1%, man, right? How many entrepreneurs, people in here that want to own companies one day? Your own business. You want to own your own business, write your own ticket, have your own money, do your own thing. You want freedom, right? Absolute freedom to come and go where you want, vacation where you want, drive what you want, live where you want. How many want that? Yeah, every hand should go up with that, right? All right, but we got to close the gap. So for the first 10 years of my company, I was struggling, making 30 grand a year. And so what I did was, 18 months later, I went from 30 grand a year to 20 grand a month, right? $247,000, 18 months later. Now, how did I do it? All right? How many of you know this? Every single problem that you have and I have in our lives, the answer to it can be found in a book somewhere, right? Is that right or wrong? All right, think about that. Let's say you got a spiritual problem. You want to know God. Where do you find God? The Bible, right? Let's say you want to know about Wall Street. Are there any books on stock markets and securities, annuities, capital gains, things like that? Are there books on that? Tons of books. How about diet and exercise? Any of those? Any of those books? Tons of books. There's a book on everything. You got a car problem. There's the car manual, right? There's a book on everything. Every single problem that you have, I have, everyone has in life, the answer to it can be found in a book. How did I go from making $30,000 a year to $20,000 a month last year to last Monday, we did $29,000 in a day, right? 29 grand in one single day. How do we do it? Books, right? You know, I started reading my mentors, people that are where I wanted to be. You know, you see, we have to look up to people that are not where we are. See, we do too much of this. Like I start comparing myself to this dude and this dude, but they're all on the same level, you know? How many of us get broke advice from broke people, right? Because that's all they produce, broke advice, right? I'm broke. I can't give money advice if I'm broke, right? Don't listen to people that are broke on money advice. Now, I'm not talking about disown your mom and your dad and things like that, but look, if they're not where you want to be, ask them other things, but don't ask them things that where you want to be. You can tell them, hey, Mom, I'm going to be a record producer one day. Okay, all right, but I'm not going to ask you advice on how to get there, how to do it, all right, because you don't know. My mother's an awesome woman. She's a great woman, but just because she's my mother doesn't mean she dreams like me. Wouldn't you agree? Do your parents dream like you? Do your parents have the same goals that you have? No. And, you know, every business I ever started, my mother's very cautious. And she's a great mom, you know, but she's very cautious. Her job is to what? Protect the kids, right? That's her job. She's a great mom. So what's she do? I'm like, every business I've ever wanted to do, wanted to pursue, I'm like, hey, Mom, I got this idea for a company. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that. I'm like, Mom, what do you think about this other idea? Well, I wouldn't do that either. I'm like, well, Mom, you wouldn't do anything except be a great mother to us, right? But just because she's my mom doesn't mean she dreams like me. Wouldn't you agree? All right, guys, I'm going to give you a couple of phrases that literally changed my life, and it'll change your life, I promise you. If you adopt this, how many of you know that knowledge is power? How many believe that? See, I don't believe that. I don't believe that knowledge in and of itself is power. I only believe applied knowledge is power, right? You got to apply it to your life. What good is a book if it just sits on the shelf and I never read it, consume it, digest it, and make it practical to my life? You know, it's not just going to sit there, right? I got to take the information and I got to use this, right? They're not going to teach you this in school, guys. You know, you guys are out of here, what, next week? You're graduating, right? When you go into the job market, all right, how many of you got jobs now? Right? For the rest of you that don't have a job, I want you to know you already have a job, and your job is to find a job. How many agree with that? Okay? Right? You got a new job, my job is to find a job. Guys, listen to this, man. Listen to this. You're going to be the same person you are today, 5 years from now, except for two things. The people you meet and the books you read. The people you meet and the books you read. All right? Whenever I'm writing my goals down, I write my goals down twice a day. All right, once in the morning and once in the evening, okay? Once in the morning, and it's kind of hard for me to go to sleep after I'm writing my goals down because it keeps me awake. I'm like, oh, man, I want to do this. I want to do that, you know? And so then I wake up in the morning and I revisit my goals, and then they kind of, as I'm dreaming, I can kind of, it's weird, you know, I wake up and I'm like, oh, man, that's how I'm going to do that. That's how I'm going to connect the dots. That's how I'm going to get from A to B to C to D in this goal, right? I wake up, I'm like this, like yesterday. Like yesterday I wrote, wake up 5 a.m. 5 a.m. Now guys, listen to this. The most successful people in our society wake up before 6 a.m. All right? You can't be a multimillionaire and sleep till noon, okay? It just doesn't work that way. There's not enough hours in the day, you know? Most successful people wake up before 6 a.m. Average millionaire in the United States wakes up before 6 a.m. You know what time the average billionaire wakes up? Billionaire with a B? 4 in the morning. That's right. 4 in the morning. There aren't enough hours in the day for these guys. See, when you have that kind of jack, when you have that kind of money, you don't want to sleep. You're like, oh man, what can I get into? You know, like I don't need to sleep. You know, I don't feel like being lazy. I feel like making this thing explode. I want to be adventurous. Man, I haven't bought an island yet, you know, the billionaire, right? Guys, you know, I wanted to tell you this, okay, because the big thing is really getting away from people that give bad advice, right? Getting away from people that give bad advice, all right? Now, it doesn't mean you're going to disown them. Like, hey, you know, I'm just not going to hang out with you anymore, Mom. You know, I'm not saying that. I'm just, you know, certain people you don't need to get advice from. Certain people that put you in boxes. All right, you don't want to be in a box. You want to be free, right? Because freedom makes you happy. Some guy messages me on Twitter the other day or a while back, and he says, you know, you sure talk about money a lot. You talk about money a lot in your tweets, et cetera, et cetera. He goes, you know, I said, well, what's your point, dude? He says, you know, Money won't make you happy. I said, well, not making money won't make you happy either, bro. I said, dude, you don't even understand what money is about. I said, money in itself is dead. It doesn't do anything, right? Money in itself doesn't make you happy. It's freedom that makes you happy. The ability to go where you want, live where you want, drive what you want, et cetera, right? A lot of us put ourselves in self-imposed boxes, okay? You know what I mean by that? How many people that you know in your life, parents, family, friends, that are like this? You know, we can eat at this restaurant and that restaurant, but we could never go to that restaurant and that restaurant, too expensive. Or maybe on special occasions we can go there. All right, we can drive this type of car and that type of car, but we could never afford that whip and that whip. You know, there's just no way. You know, we can go on vacation maybe in Orlando, but we could never go to Fiji, et cetera, right? So we limit ourselves, and we could live in this neighborhood and that neighborhood, but we could never live there and there. So they limit themselves what? To where they live, what they drive, where they eat, based on what? What they wear, clothes, right? Based upon what? The money they have, right? All right, now check this out. All right, so you got your goals, you got them down, you got the number, you got 5 years, 2 years, 1 year, whatever it is. Now, what would step one be? All right, I'll give you an example. I wrote this down yesterday because this is usually, you ask me what my goals are, man. Here it is, every day. Who are 5 people that I need to get a hold of today that are going to change my life? How do I get them on the phone? Get face to face with them. I need oxygen, you know. And when I say oxygen, if they don't know me, they ain't gonna flow me, right? A lot of us have to get out of obscurity. You know what obscurity means? Just basically means people don't know you. I got to get out of obscurity. In fact, obscurity is everything in life, man, when you think about it. Let's say I got a problem with my wife. Obscurity means they don't know me or I'm not paying attention to them, right? I need to start paying attention to my wife if I'm having problems with my wife. I need to get out of obscurity, and she needs to get out of obscurity. Same thing in business, man. Who are the top 5 people that I need to get a hold of today, tomorrow, that are going to change my life, right? CEOs could be. Let's say you want to do a charity, you know, people that run charities, 501(c)(3)s, whatever, you know. How do I get through the gatekeeper, secretary, to get a hold of this person, right? Mitch and I are thinking about doing a reality show where I literally go undercover, like an undercover hidden camera, where I'm trying to get a job at companies that are not hiring, okay? Imagine that. Hey, we're not hiring. Good. I still need to talk to the hiring manager. They're like, well, I already told you, sir, we are just not hiring. Excellent. Still need to talk to the hiring manager. And so I'm sitting there, and he says, well, we're not exactly hiring right now. Good. I'm going to tell you why you cannot afford not to hire me. I'm going to give you 12 reasons why. As soon as I give you these 12 reasons, I guarantee you're going to hire me. And, you know, I mean, imagine a show like that, right? Dude, I've gone into businesses where I lay down a Louisville Slugger baseball bat on the table, and they're like, whoa, you know, you lay this bat down, boom, right? And they're like, they jump back, like, what are you doing with a bat? And I brought this in here as a symbolic reminder that I want to knock it out of the park here. That's why I'm here, you know? That's why I'm here. And they're like, man, that's crazy. How about another time I went over to, there's this moving company, Ross Sudduth, owns Sudduth Moving. They have trucks all over the nation, moving company. And I called him up, had to get through the gatekeeper, secretary. She didn't want to put me through. Finally, I said, I'm going to call you every hour until you put me through to this man. Dude, when I know what I want, I just go after it. Like, you got to be obsessed, right? I'm not going to let some secretary or anybody else stand in my way of becoming extremely successful because I'm consumed with my success. That's how you got to be. You got to like have that inner drive. It's in every one of us. It's there. You know, we just make it go dormant. You know why we make it go dormant? Because we've been sociologically conditioned from the time we were this tall by our parents, by teachers. No offense, bruh. You know, sit down, put that down. Can't you just sit still? Don't do that. Calm down, you know, and they put these words, these limiting words on top of you. So you grow up and you're like, oh, I better behave. I better do what they tell me. I better do this. I'm giving you permission now to be dangerous. Be dangerous with your life, man. You know, pursue what you want to pursue. Now, I'm talking about ethical stuff here. Be ethical, be moral, but you know what I'm saying. You get what I'm saying. So I meet with Ross Sudduth. After several phone calls, I said, Ross, Dave Conigliaro. I said, can you meet with me? He says, I'm not interested. I said, can I buy you lunch? No. Can I buy you dinner? No. Can I buy you breakfast? Okay. So we finally meet. I went and got him a gift from Big Lots, I think. Got him one of those salad choppers. Now, he's a heavy guy. He's a heavy guy. He's got a big belly out there. I said, hey, Ross, you know why I got you a salad chopper? He goes, because you think I'm fat and I need to eat salads? I said, no, baby, because I want to slice and dice your competition with you. That's why I'm here. He's like, oh, that's good. That's good. You got my attention now. See, I got out of obscurity. You know, imagine this. Imagine you go into, let's say there's some awesome job that you want to work out, like you really want this job. You really think, man, I really want to work at that place, right? Imagine if you bought, I don't know, went to Papa John's or Pizza Hut or one of these companies and got 15 or 20 pizzas hand delivered to the boss of that company, and you have a letter on top of the pizza box and says, hey, do I have your attention now? It's like, imagine all these pizza boxes. Who brought all this food? I did. Do I have your attention now? I want to work here. You know, I would love it if somebody sat across the desk from me at my office when we go to hire people. But sadly, this is what I hear when we go to hire people most of the time. This is sad when people show up for an interview. This is how people act. They're like, so what am I going to be doing here? You know, I guess I can commit to 30 hours a week. You know, I'm like, dude, let me tell you how this should go. Imagine if I'm going in for a job, I'm gonna say something like this. I am going to be worth 10 times the amount of money that you will ever have to pay me. Therefore, I work for free. Do I have the job yet? Right? I'm going to be worth 10 times more than you will ever pay me. Therefore, I work for free. How many know LeBron James works for free? Come on. Show of hands. LeBron James, King James, we know that name, right? He works for free. What I mean is, he makes that franchise, the Cleveland Cavaliers, more money, 10 to 15 times more money than they will ever have to pay him. When he says, hey, I need $33 million this year, they said, good. We were going to give you 40. I'm so glad you said 33. You know, because you're worth that much more to us, LeBron. You know, you're the one that puts people in the seats all year long. You know, before you came, half this place was filled up. Now you're here. Man, I'm glad you're here, LeBron. You want $33 million? Sure. Can I give you a massage too? You know, the marketplace rewards people for what they're worth, right? No two people should get paid the same, right? That's why I hate hourly jobs so much. It's like, well, he's making $8.50 an hour, so she should be making $8.50 an hour. No. Should everybody on the Cleveland Cavaliers basketball team make as much money as LeBron? No, hell no. Because he puts up the work. You know, he puts in the work. You know, he goes the hardest in the paint. If everybody else raised their game to that level, maybe we'd talk, right? Maybe we'd say, okay, we'll give you some more money. But dude, that's how the marketplace works. It rewards those who put more in, you know? How many of you know this? The bigger the problem that you solve for other people, determine the size of your paychecks. How many of you know that? The bigger the problem that you help solve for other people, determine the size of your paychecks. One time I had a plumbing problem at my house. I flushed the toilet. Water wasn't going down. All of a sudden, water's coming up. So I get a plunger, and all of a sudden I look back, and now water's coming up in my sinks. It's coming up in the bathtub. And I'm like, oh man, I got a problem. I need a plumber. Call a plumber. Plumber comes out. Can you get out here right away? Yes, sir. You got a problem? I got a solution for you. He comes out. He's literally there 10 to 12 minutes, fixes my drain problem, writes me a bill for $1,000. 12 minutes of work, he made a G. Made $1,000, right? And I paid it. Bigger the problem that you help solve for other people determines the size of your paychecks. Always, right? If you give more in value to the marketplace, you make more in exchange. Does that make sense? Right? Oh, yeah. Now listen, guys, a lot of people just go to school and that's all they do. They just go to school and they just like, well, I'm learning. No, you need to be working while you're learning, right? And I don't listen, because you're going to have enough debt anyway. You know, believe me, it's going to be expensive, right? Unless you're getting a scholarship or something like that. I mean, it's expensive to go to school, and so you got to be working while you're working, right? The more value that you add to the marketplace determines how much money is going to flow back to you. Wouldn't you agree? Right? You're going to be the same person you are today 5 years from now, except for two things: the people you meet and the books you read. All right. The other thing is this: top tier thinking. Okay, right? How do we get out of obscurity? How do we get out of obscurity? Right? Make yourself known. How do you make yourself? It's easier than ever now, right? Right? It's easier. I mean, social media. Man, if God gives gifts to men, he gave me Facebook. Right? If God gives gifts to men, he gave me Twitter. He gave me Instagram. You know? I mean, making videos. I mean, you guys know better than anybody, right? I mean, you can get known in a heartbeat. Man, imagine you make a little 5-second, 10-second video, post that, get it to a CEO who's on Twitter to get in his face. I want to come work for you, CEO. I can add this, 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 and this to your company. Will you meet with me? Send, done. You know, I mean, you can do that all day long, right? Yeah, we can do this, right? I want you to hit us up after this because we're always hiring. We're always looking for great people at my company, okay? We will never limit the amount of money that you want to make here, okay? I will never, yeah. I own an automotive company. We own a flooring company. We sell things, okay? So, you know, we will never limit the amount of money that you want to make at our company. You know, if you want to make $700 a day, you got it. If you want to make $7,000 a day, you better work. But you got it. Well, we'll never limit the amount of money that you want to make. Imagine making $7,000 a day right out of high school. Would that be sick? That'd be sick, right? Well, guys, man, it's been good. I told Aaron I wasn't going to take the whole time, but thanks for your time, man. I just really want you to own your space. Really work for what you want. Grind hard, hustle. You know, get laser-like focus on your life, on your goals. You know, push hard. The harder you push, you know, good things are going to happen, man. And that's it, man. God bless. I'm out of time.